NBC6 News Today at 6:30 starts now.
The guy stopped and shot him and then took off.
New details on the deadly shooting happening near Hard Rock Stadium. What we're learning about the victim. An exclusive interview with a family member.
It's the start of the 2024 legislative session, just hours away now. We're going to break down some of the top bills to keep a close eye on, along with a preview of today's State of the State address from the governor.
And you guys, it's going to be a very windy day across South Florida. Severe weather also expected later this evening. What you need to know.
And we're going to keep you updated in just a moment. Thanks for waking up with us, South Florida, and happy Tuesday to you as we make our way through this week. I'm Chris Anderson.
And I'm Constance Jones. Starting the day off a little warmer than what we're used to. We're finally in the 70s.
Yeah, we've had a nice little stretch of cooler temperatures, but it seems like that's changed. Maybe it has to do with that severe weather that could be rolling through our area.
That's right. Chelsea Ambrose has the answer on that weather that we need to be aware of today.
Yeah, that's exactly why we are on the warm side. The clouds, the moisture, all of it's playing into that. But tonight, once the front comes through, it will be chilly again tomorrow. We will have those temperatures falling back down to average, morning lows back in the 60s. But for today, we're actually above average. We're getting into the low 80s. It's very warm out there. It's very windy. That's the main focus. Once we get past sunset and we get towards that 9, 10, 11 o'clock time frame, storms will start moving in. What we can expect with those thunderstorms is going to be mainly the wind. There is an isolated tornado threat. It's relatively low. Doesn't mean everybody will see a tornado, but one warning or here or there is possible. Not saying it will happen, but it is possible. Then the lightning will also be a limited factor. As we're dealing with all of the wind, though, that is going to elevate beach hazards, marine concerns, not just for today, but also into tomorrow until those winds finally weaken. Speaking of that, wind advisory in play today. Gusts could be up to about 45 miles per hour at times. We're already seeing winds gusting up to about 35 miles per hour. So it is going to be a very blustery day today. Some of the current winds that we're seeing out there gusting: Miami 24, Pompano, like I mentioned already, at 35 miles per hour. More on the forecast. Timing out those showers is still to come.
The guy stopped and shot him and then took off.
This morning, a woman is sharing the story behind a deadly shooting involving her own nephew. It happened right near Hard Rock Stadium after the Dolphins game against the Bills on Sunday night.
NBC6's Julia Bagg. She joins us live at the Miami Gardens Police Headquarters. And Julia, what's this woman saying about what happened out there?
Well, she's talking about the events leading up to her nephew's death. And here's a look at her nephew, Dylan Isaacs. He's actually this picture taken of him at the Dolphins-Bills game on Sunday night at Hard Rock Stadium. His aunt, Cecilia Skye, telling us that she learned from police that her nephew had walked out of the stadium, was headed back to a vehicle with his friends after the game, that is, to their vehicle, and then a car pulled out and struck her nephew, Dylan Isaacs. Now, police have not identified him, but Cecilia Skye said her nephew, Dylan Isaacs, is 30 years old, that he's a Bills fan from the native community of Six Nations in Ontario, Canada, and that he had traveled here to South Florida to be at that Dolphins game on Sunday night. Now, he went to Hard Rock Stadium with some friends, she says, and that he met up there with some cousins as well. Skye tells us when that car struck her nephew as he was on his way out of the game, that he and a friend of his actually started chasing after the driver. But then the driver stopped, stepped out of the car, and shot Dylan Isaacs to death.
He was very much loved. He loved all the kids. We have a big family here. His cousins are, everyone is going to miss him.
Officers tried to give Isaacs CPR, but he died right there on the pavement just a block south of the stadium. The shooter took off, and this morning, police are still looking for him. Isaac's aunt told us she does not understand the violence that led to her nephew's death. Now back out live here at the Miami Gardens Police Headquarters. If you know something about what happened that can help detectives here track down that shooter, you can call Miami-Dade Crime Stoppers at 305-471-TIPS. Live in Miami Gardens, Julia Bagg, NBC6 News.
Julia, thank you for the update there. Now to a disturbing story this morning where police are asking for your help after a baby's body was found in a dumpster in Hollywood. A construction worker that was doing some roofing work nearby made this discovery on Monday morning in the area of Rodman Street and South 17th Avenue. The worker says the body was in a bag. Police haven't released the baby's gender or age, but they believe the body may have been there for several days. They're hoping someone with surveillance video can step forward to help.
A lot of people now have Teslas, and these vehicles have 24/7 surveillance around their cars. If you live around the area and you have one of those vehicles that are constantly recording, to take a second, look at your vehicle, see if you have anything that would be useful to us.
The story also serving as an important reminder about Florida's safe haven law, which will allow parents to drop off a newborn at any fire station, hospital, or emergency medical service station without fear of prosecution.
Well, over to Tamarack this morning. Authorities are now investigating after a car was found submerged in a canal with a person's body inside. Chopper 6 video shows a Toyota Highlander that investigators pulled from the water near University Drive and Southgate Boulevard on Monday. Now, we're working to find out the identity of the victim, but neighbors say that they have seen the car posted on social media before after Rondell Edwards went missing.
I feel bad because he's only 28 years old. It's like, he's got 3 little girls. Apparently he took like a wrong turn, that's what I'm thinking. If you don't live in this area, you're not even going to know there's a canal over here.
Edwards' family says the 28-year-old's cell phone last pinged near the canal. Right now, authorities are still investigating.
Back to politics, where Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is set to deliver his State of the State address later today. But with the Iowa caucuses now just a week away, and of course he is a Republican candidate for president, another state could be the focus of his attention.
That's right. NBC6's Socho Hernandez gives us a breakdown of what we can expect to hear today.
Well, Constance and Chris, the State of State address usually addresses an outline for the legislative session as well as gives an update on the state of Florida. But as you said, as he gears up for the presidential election, he could also be targeting Iowa ahead of the Iowa caucus.
What's the governor going to do next?
Governor Ron DeSantis walking the line between running a state and running for president this past weekend in Iowa.
Donald Trump is running for his issues. Nikki Haley's running for her donors' issues. I'm running for your issues and your family's issues and to turn this country around.
Governor DeSantis is now caught up in the Iowa caucus.
NBC6 political analyst Mike Hernandez looking for the governor who has spent months in the early primary state to deliver today's State of the State address in Tallahassee with Florida and the Hawkeye State on his mind.
Some of his speech will definitely be focused on his accomplishments in office. That's to be expected. What I don't expect to hear a lot of, although he should include, are the challenges that Florida is facing.
For instance, skyrocketing property insurance rates that haven't even started coming down. Democrats offering up the house crisis as another challenge.
Our colleagues on the other side of the aisle have empowered their corporate donors who are profiting and price gouging on the backs of Floridians. It's too expensive to live in Florida. It's too expensive for Floridians to even live here.
After today's speech, DeSantis will shift again from governor back to presidential candidate and back to Iowa.
He's put an enormous amount of resources there. He's basically moved there in the final weeks before the caucus, so he needs to perform very well.
The State of State address is on the agenda to start at 11 this morning. And again, typically, it also starts the legislative session. Reporting live in Miami, I'm Xochitl Hernandez, NBC6 News.
Xochitl, thank you so much. This morning, we're also looking at a few of the other topics lawmakers are expected to talk about during this legislative session.
Yeah, quite a lot to focus on and some pressing topics concerning Floridians. So let's start off with gun legislation, which will be top of mind for a lot of folks. State leaders could be considering to lower the legal age to buy guns from 21 to 18 years old and eliminate a 3-day waiting period to actually purchase rifles and shotguns. This would reverse part of a law passed in the aftermath of the 2018 mass shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School.
Abortion laws are also a big concern here in the state of Florida. 2 Republicans are proposing a law that would allow parents to recover damages under the Wrongful Death Act if an unborn child dies. And Democrats are striving to protect those who've had abortions from being prosecuted. The state currently says it's a 3rd-degree felony to have an abortion past 15 weeks after conceiving.
Lawmakers will also talk about possibly allowing some teenagers to work longer hours on school days and in dangerous jobs. This could create a domino effect, signaling neighboring states to push back on child labor protections as well.
And of course, the use of artificial intelligence continues to evolve. There is an increasing demand in creating more laws to police and regulate AI, specifically within political advertising. Possible legislation could also aim to protect the public from misleading information.
Coming up later this morning, again, Governor DeSantis will deliver his State of the State address at 11 o'clock. And our NBC6 team will be covering this event on air and on Peacock Network, as well as Roku streaming platforms. You can also download the NBC6 app and check out our website, NBC6.com, for the very latest.
Well, a federal lawmaker gets a firsthand look at the long-running problems inside of a South Florida apartment building. Now, we do want to warn you this morning, some of the images are shocking.
It's not sanitary. It's unhealthy.
That's Congresswoman Frederica Wilson there. Led a tour yesterday at the Glorietta Gardens apartment complex in Opa-locka. Her goal is to pressure the government subsidy properties to act quicker to fix these problems. She says there are a number of attempts to come up with an agreement with the management, and that's been hindered, though. We do know that there have been a number of attempts. Residents have been complaining for years about unhealthy living conditions in the building. It was built back in the 70s.
With the mold, the rodents, it's a constant fight every day.
All right, so the video you only see on your screens this morning on NBC6, it shows workers painting, but residents say they're just painting over the mold there. Another resident tells us sewage backs up into her tub and her toilets. Now, we did get a response from the management team, the company, about the situation. They say, quote, the ownership and the management at Glorietta Gardens is committed to creating an environment that is healthy, safe, livable, and comfortable and productive family living, end quote. Well, now dozens of residents have been staying in hotels for several months. They say there is no clear indication when they'll be able to return back home.
Authorities are revealing some more information about the terrifying moments on board that Alaska Airlines flight when part of the side of a door flew off in mid-flight. We're going to have the latest on that.
But right now on I-95 at Miami Gardens Drive, we're starting to see that heavy congested traffic right during this rush hour as you're heading south on I-95 at Miami Gardens towards the Golden Glades. You can see how slow the express lanes are moving, but northbound lanes are looking pretty good. As far as Broward is concerned, no major accidents in your area. Again, just a little bit of that slow moving traffic as you head onto I-95 heading northbound between Broward and Sunrise. Other than that, no major accidents in your area. We'll be right back right after this.